Alright folks, what is up? This is One Big Bug and I'm coming at you with Euro Truck Simulator 2. We're continuing our career. This is the final leg of our job driving this gondola trailer. It might be a bit of a short video because we don't have that far to go, but it's just the way it is. I really got to get an intro for my channel, I think. Nothing big or flashy, just something that introduces my channel rather than just jumping straight into the video. You know? But I've never been able to make stuff like that, and I wouldn't even begin to know how to go around getting one. But maybe I'll look into it. Anyways, let's continue our trip. There we go. Fire it up. Parking brake, make sure it's off. More volume in the ears. Road looks okay to pull out into. So I went back to Eve today, as I said I was going to, and it went surprisingly well. I didn't do a lot, but I still managed to come out with 500 million ISK in one day. Now, it was extremely lucky, and half of that amount, a good half of that amount, came with a single, what they call skill book in the game. In order to train up skills, you have to have a skill book. So, different skill books are worth different amounts of money. Yeah, ISK. And when I say money, I mean ISK. When I'm, excuse me, talking about Eve. So, there's this one book that you can find, and it's in these areas known as HP Garista Blue Pill production sites. Now, I'm pretty sure there are other pill production sites in different factions, but for the one I am, it's Blue Pill Garista. And there's one book called Neurotoxin Control, which I think, I haven't actually read what it does, what I think it does is it lowers the side effects, or how long the side effects maybe take hold on you. It lowers that, I believe. And that one single book is worth about 220 to 240 million ISK. So that was almost half of my 500 million. Otherwise, it would have just been a 250 million day, which is about average for me. But to come back on my first day and to get 500 million ISK is pretty big. It was a great return for me, I guess you could say. I'm gonna slow down because I don't trust this tunnel. Especially with trailers that aren't made for the game itself. I was towing a trailer on the outside lane a long time ago. This big hulking round yellow thing, as a matter of fact, it's actually still in the game. I went and I am not getting into the turn lane, because if I do, I won't make this turn properly. But yeah, I was hauling it, and it is actually still in the game. It's one of the rare trailers. And I was hauling on the outside lane headed for a tunnel, going about 90-95 kilometers, and I just came to an instant stop as the trailer hitbox had slammed into the top of the tunnel hitbox, and I couldn't get through. I had to back up and actually go to the center of the tunnel and go through. And strangely enough, stay to the inside. And it worked fine. Oh, pardon me. I am a little tired right now. Not sure why. I got decent sleep. In Eve, I've gotten into what's known as, one of my characters has gotten into one of the ships I was training for, called a prospect. It is a mining frigate, meaning it's a very small ship. It can mine. It can mine minerals, it can mine ice, and it can mine things that a lot of ships can't. That's gas clouds. It specializes at gas cloud mining. Gas cloud sites do spawn around our system, although they don't spawn very often, supposedly. Although I've been finding them more commonly lately. I'm starting to think that CCP, that's the developers, owners, producers, yada yada yada, of EVE Online. I'm starting to believe that they might have upped the spawn chance for gas anomalies. But I didn't mean to snort there. It's from my yawning. I trained into the Prospect just for that kind of idea alone. The Prospect is one of the fastest ships in terms of how fast it can align and warp out, which is nice. If you specifically design it to do so, it can warp out faster than anything. But in its basic setup, it's almost an insta-warper by itself, so that's pretty cool. Oh, sorry, I don't mean to yawn so much. I didn't think I'd be this run down right about now. Usually, like it is now, 11 o'clock is nothing for me time-wise. I guess it's bothering me a little bit more than I thought it would. But either way, it's not all that bad. So, yeah, I got into the Prospect, and I actually got to use it as a small gas site. It had spawned, and it did fairly well. You know, the hazard behind mining gas sites is the gas clouds can explode, doing thermal damage in a very large radius around the cloud. And if you're not tanked for it very well, you can take a significant amount of damage, and the larger your ship, the more damage you can take. Now, it's one of the reasons the Prospect and its little brother, as we called what I used to mine in, the Venture, were such good ships to mine with. I mean, not only do they have bonuses geared towards mining gas clouds in terms of how much they mine at once and how fast they can cycle their harvesters. Ooh, that was a difficult load. But they also are frigates, and they're very small, so they have a very tiny signature radius, meaning that they don't take a lot of damage from area of effect explosions. Alright, looks like I gotta be a little careful in this corner. Not this one particularly, but the next one probably. Well, not too bad. So, the advantage of a Prospect is it can fit a covert cloak, which means it can warp while cloaked, which is Really freaking huge. Being able to go into warp while cloaked. And that means you can cloak up and get away from a lot of stuff. It makes a pretty decent travel ship. It really does. But not as good as an interceptor. Because interceptors won't get stuck in bubbles, where the prospect will still get stuck in bubbles. That's just how it is. Excuse me, 1 sec, please. Okay, maybe that'll stop that. Anyways. I am still 9 days or so out from a skill known as Caldari Cruiser 5. This is, I call it the first main base skill that you need in getting into a Tier 3 cruiser known as the Tengu. Probably the most popular. Not the most powerful, I would say, but the most popular Tier 3 cruiser in the game. The most powerful in terms of raw firepower, I think, is the Proteus, which is the Galante one. The Lachesis, which is the Minmatar, I think it's Lachesis. Or is it the Loki? It's the Loki, I think. I think that may be the fastest aligning, fastest warping, and then finally, boy, I'm getting a lot of hard loading locks right now, and I know it's not from heat, because it's cool in my room right now. Anyways, the last one, the Amar, is known as the Legion, and I actually really like the Legion, but sadly where I live, the Legion is worthless except for PvP. That's not a whole lot of fun. Well, PvP is, but I'm not a good PvPer. I'm just not. And, if you end up losing a ship, a Tier 3 cruiser, then you end up losing skill points. And that's rough. It used to be that if you would die in the game without having a significantly upgraded clone, you would lose skill points. But that's no more. Now the only way to lose skill points in the game is if you lose your Tier 3 cruiser. Then you lose skill points. Do what we gotta. Especially if we're not paying attention. Trying to think of anything else, but yeah, I'm going to that, but then it's like another month or so to train all the subsystem skills for Tengu to their proper levels. Subsystems give the ship different bonuses. For different things: defensive, speed, capacitor recharge rate, offensive power, defensive power, maneuverability. You know, there's all different kinds of subsystems, and it's like another month to train them all. And I'm not going for level 5, which is the highest you can get. I want at least level 4. And needless to say, again, I apologize. And needless to say, that takes a lot of work just to get to 4. I dread to think what it would take to get all my subsystems to 5. Pardon me again, I didn't mean to do that. Just all this yawning. Probably what I'll end up naming the episode. Yawn. I was playing Diablo with my nephew, and we did some riffs and whatnot, and got my barbarian geared up. Pretty okay, honestly. I tried different levels of riff solo. Not, going gung-ho high, definitely not, but I tried Torment 1, and I was getting wrecked in Torment 1, so I had to back out. But it really came to hit me that barbarians were nerfed really, really hard. And I know I kind of realized that before, but it really struck home today, because the strongest barbarian build that uses what they call resource generators, in other words, basic attacks, is basically single target. There's very little multi-target for barbarians. They use an ability called Frenzy, which means every time they attack a enemy, they get bonus attack speed, stacks up to 5 times. And then they use, I believe it's called Maniac, which means for every stack they get more damage, although I personally use something called Sidearm, which means I have a chance to throw a piercing axe in a direction. And even though the directions is random, it will always be at an enemy. I find that helps better with crowds, and riffs are all about crowds. But yeah, they have Frenzy, then they have Charge, which is their kind of way of getting out of a bad situation. Unless they're walled off, then you're kind of screwed. They have another ability that increases their damage, a Shout, and then some use another Shout which increases their defense. I know that one's called Warcry. I forget what the first one's called. Other ones, instead of Warcry, use Ignore Pain for defense boost. And then the final 2 skills are both power skills in Call of the Ancients, which brings 3 barbarian ancients to your side, and they each have a different ability, and they each do a lot of damage, and they're really good at clearing stuff out. And then they use Berserker, which kind of sends you into a Super Saiyan form, and you get like vastly increased stats. You become immune to crowd control. A couple other things that I forget. Increased movement speed, increased attack speed, increased damage, things like that. It's really, really powerful. But it's all single target, There's very little room for clearing. And I used to use an ability known as Cleave. And I used to be a 2-handed barb that did a lot of whirlwind. And it worked really well. And that was the barb's basic farming ability, whirlwind. And there was this thing that you could do where you could jack up whirlwind, and then whirlwind would continue to work it's kind of hard to say. You'd pop all these abilities, and then you would just whirlwind like mad, and you would keep your berserk up for a very long time, doing very, very powerful damage. And in short, you would just go nuts. But they really nerfed and changed the barbarian's ability, so they can no longer do that, which kind of upset me a little bit, because when I got into the game, my nephew played his mage, which is basically Fire of the Apocalypse build. I don't know what else to call it. There's just fire everywhere. There's multiples of them. I can barely keep track of what's going on. And on his Demon Hunter, he's just unleashing this torrent of blades in one build. Another build is lightning crawling everywhere, and I do mean crawling. And he never really has to get close to anything, and in either one. And I'm sitting there saying, you know, these guys can clear entire rooms with no problem in short order, but, you know, the Barbarian, you know, get no chance. Even the ones that you think would be focused on single target, like Monk, no, Monk has, although this build is really gear dependent, as it's called, the Monk has a very powerful build that can be very, very easily to room clear, as does the Crusader. Yeah, I saw my trailer going for that edge there. The Crusader also has a build that uses this ability that sends out 3 horses in kind of a fan pattern, and they do insane amount of damage. And they can clear a room no problem. You know, it's really nuts. As a matter of fact, it's kind of funny. The most powerful build for the only classes that need to generate resources, the Monk, the Crusader, and the Barbarian, because everything else is like natural regeneration for the other classes. The build for those, the most powerful build for those 3, the ones that need to generate resources, do not have any resource generating abilities. I kid you not. You use passive ways to generate. Good enough. And then you use all different abilities. Good work. That means there's some damage to the trailer. 3%. That came from that accent somewhere. See, what I told you, I wouldn't look, and I said there was no damage to the trailer, but yet there was 3% damage. So now now that we have full econo driving, we can actually start working on our ADR. And technically speaking, we do have enough for another truck. Actually, first, let's see what our new... Just curious. New paint job, don't care. Side pipes, which again don't care because you can't put them on this kind. New sun visor, don't care. We get the new engine. Yeah, we're definitely upgrading the engine. We are definitely going for the upgrade. And then, wait a minute. Yeah, my axle is down. We can pick it up now. So, I just find that really funny that the 3 most powerful builds for the ones that need to build their own resources through attacks use no resource building at all. So fortunately the garage is like right here. That's always a nice change. So we'll service our truck. That's actually not bad. And then we will upgrade the engine, and we will get the 750 horsepower, 3,550 Newton meter massive engine. So we have the my mouse doesn't want to cooperate right now. There we go. That's good enough. Oh yeah. Anytime you do the garage, you have to do that. Do you mind, mouse? Please stop. Stop. Just stop. Stop. Oh my God! Quit it. Okay. Oh, shush. Alright, so what is on our job market to start our next run? We are here. Oh my, we have quite the choice, don't we? That goes all the way to Casablanca. 11 tons, it's not too heavy, but it's a big trailer. That goes into the United Kingdom, and that's 10,000 euros less, and even less money. But a lot of this price difference is right here in this ferry. You see it's 1,837 kilometers driving, 1,600, it's only a 200 kilometer difference. That looks like a really cool little trailer to pull that I've never pulled before, but I don't think so. Turbine. Oh, there's the concrete trailer. Concrete trailer's actually really hard to pull. It's got some weird physics to it, man. It's easy to tip with that thing. It's really, really strange, but yeah, we'll be taking the tank most likely. The big, I don't know, probably liquid tank by the look of it. And we'll be going all the way to Casablanca. Should be a bit of an interesting run. We haven't been to Casablanca, we've been here. So instead of like turning off and going up this way, we'll be cutting down here past Morocco, or into Morocco, Casablanca. Looks like a fun trip. It is a speed delivery, important, so I'm not overly fond about that. But it should be fine at 11 tons with a 750 horsepower engine. And at 11 tons, we also won't need to put our center axle down. We can run 4x2 really easily. So that's going to be me done for this episode, folks. Like I said, it's a little short today, but it is what it is, you know. I apologize for all the yawning and the sniffing. Like I said, I didn't realize that I was going to be like that at this time. I'm usually not. But other than that, I really hope you've enjoyed this video as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. Until next time, this is going to be One Big Bugger. I'm going to be signing out, and I'll see you next time.